Hi, and welcome to Crypto for the Rest of Us. Today, we're going to dive in to the crypto ONDO, O-N-D-O. I bring you either a tip, a tool, or a coin analysis 6 days a week. Let's dive into ONDO. At the end, we'll talk about price predictions. Now, if you've been watching my show, or maybe you're new, and hopefully by the end, you'll want to subscribe. So let's dive in. I'm going to go into 5 different things we're going to talk about. Go through them one by one. The crypto in general, the mission, the different websites, what they're currently doing. Then we'll talk about the company. It's always important. I've had multiple companies myself. I've raised funding on the East Coast, the West Coast, investment banks, venture capital. We want to get into who started this company because that's extremely important. Who's running the company, who's behind this, and who are the venture capitalists and the investors, because that can make a big difference, especially when they have connections and they can help even further, faster. Then we're going to get into, let's say, revenue, total value locked, market cap, the coins, and the tokenomics as well. How many coins are out there, what's circulating, how are they going to release? And then we'll talk about projections, the overall market, and where I think this is going, both in the short term, next 12 months or so, and the long term. We're going to look at 3 different websites. The first is the ONDO Foundation. The ONDO Foundation's mission is to usher in a new era of financial inclusivity and market efficiency through on-chain, institutional-grade financial products and services. All right, real-world asset tokenization. One of the many benefits is efficiency, the ability to buy, sell, and trade these tokens, which are tied to underlying real-world assets 24/7. They happen to be in the treasury space. We'll get to that. So this is the ONDO Foundation website, and they talk about, let's see, institutional and crypto native partners and service providers. There's other crypto here, as well as BlackRock, who they're working with regarding treasuries. And then you've got some other banks, Coinbase as well. And let's look at their white paper. So the ONDO Foundation, I like to think of that as a board of the company. The ONDO coin says that shareholders in the DAO, the ONDO token holders, exercise control over the Proter's smart contract upgrades through on-chain governance. So the token holders of ONDO through this process, that's the governance process. Think of it as the board of a company. So here we are at the ONDO Finance website, and you can see the different products they offer. You can look, and we'll get into things like their team. Let's read what they say they're about. Again, institutional grade finance, now on chain. ONDO is building the next generation of financial infrastructure to improve market efficiency, transparency, and accessibility. Here are 2 of the things that they have at the moment. The USDY, for individuals and institutions, it's paying 5.3%. OUSG, this is where they've tokenized short-term US Treasuries. It says for qualified purchasers, you have to meet some basic parameters, but they have 24/7 instant mints and redemptions. In other words, 24/7, the ability to buy or sell short-term US Treasuries. In my opinion, that's huge. Now let's look at their white paper just briefly. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. I'll have a link to it, but they have a white paper that tells you everything about them. Again, they've got their mission, institutional grade financial products and services. Then they talk about the products they have available. And one thing I wanted to point out when I said that they have this USDY and the OUSG, when you talk about new companies, let's talk about startups. They're the same, in my mind, as a crypto. You usually have a seed round of funding. Oftentimes, those companies are in various states of completion. Sometimes they're just working on a prototype, or they're putting together the roadmap, but they haven't really executed anything yet. Then usually maybe an A round they might be executing. Maybe there's some revenue there. Maybe that's a B round. Maybe that goes a little more to marketing. So each round is used, and it's presumed that the company has sort of hit some milestones before they look for this additional round of funding. So in this case, what's interesting is they've gotten their essentially seed round, and then they've gotten basically their A round, which we'll talk about. But they have executed these 2 things on their roadmap. They have successfully tokenized short-term US Treasuries. That's a big deal. It's done. It's not something written on a whiteboard. We want to do it. They did it. and then they've got the USDY. Now let's go to the third site, and that is what they call Flux Finance. You can lend and you can borrow. You go into lend here. They've got their own token, the Frax, the USDT, USDC, DAI. You can lend and you can borrow. Here's what's interesting. You've got your stable coins. Cryptocurrencies designed to minimize price volatility because they're pegged to a stable asset like the US dollar. Then you have your tokenized treasuries. That's what they've done. They've been able to tokenize US treasuries. Okay, so you got your stable coins, you got your tokenized treasuries, lending and borrowing. You can lend your stable coins and receive interest. Okay, that's obvious. Then you can borrow stable coins by using the tokenized treasuries as collateral. This is a big deal. This is something I don't think people are pointing out when they talk about ONDO. This provides liquidity to the holder of the US treasuries. Okay, so here's a use case. You are able to leverage your investment in the US treasuries to obtain liquid funds. So what does this mean? Think about anyone like an Elon Musk, and they have stock in Tesla or whatever it may be, and they want some money to buy a home or do whatever they're doing. They don't want to sell their stock because they believe it's going to continue to go up in value. So they borrow money against it, meaning the stock is the collateral. They want to keep the stock. They want to receive some money in the form of a loan. They, through Flux Finance, allows you, because you purchase the tokenized treasuries with their coin, the OUSG, you purchase those treasuries and you get to hold them. And if you need some of that money, you don't have to sell it. You can get a loan against it. So you don't have to sell the underlying asset. I believe that to be huge. The US Treasury market, we'll talk about it later, is huge. And a lot of people use it because they believe US Treasuries are one of the safest investments you can have. Of course, there's not a lot of upside other than the interest rate, but is considered extremely safe for many people who may want it for whether it's a pension fund or it's just yourself or your parents or someone who's retired and they don't want to have to deal with losing money and capital in the markets. They want safe investments. That, in my mind, is huge. And of course, lastly, they've got the ONDO Foundation has their own Twitter, and they've got other Twitter accounts that you can follow if you're interested. I think it's always important if you buy and own a coin. I should have said at the beginning, I own this coin at the time I'm recording this. I might sell it in the future. I might not. I don't know. I believe this is a long-term play. But even the next 12 months, it could go up substantially. Let's see. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the company itself. So you go on to ONDO, you go into their about, and you look at the team. And they have quite a few people here on their page, which is always great. But I picked two in particular. One is the founder and the CEO. And then let's look at the president and COO. In my time, when I was really young, in my 20s, and I was working when I was in college, I always thought that managers and people who were running things were sort of useless because I looked at them as not doing any work. Well, as I got older, I realized it is crucial to have people that know what they're doing, who are running, who are setting the vision and setting the path for the company. And then, of course, hiring and making sure that they're able to execute on their roadmap to execute those ultimate goals and continue to do that. So who started this? Nathan Altman. If you look at his LinkedIn here, you'll see that he was at Goldman Sachs. He was a partner at Chain Street Capital and Prospect Capital Management. So he's got quite a bit of finance experience. And then if you look at the president and COO, Justin Schmidt, and you look down here, let's see, he was also Goldman Sachs, 7-8 Capital's got some financial experience, but I thought this was great. So if you go down here and you see under education, he has a computer science degree from MIT and also a master's from MIT. Okay. Smart guys with industry experience, and they're the ones executing on this vision. That's great. Okay, let's talk about the venture capitalists and those that they've raised the money from. So one place to look here is if you go into DeFi Llama, and I've already gone down to raises, I did a video on this before, and you can look under overview and you can search on the company. So I've gone to raises, you can look at basically this overview shows you what the companies have raised, and then the investors tab is where you can dig into the investors. So first off, ONDO did 2 rounds here. They did a public token sale for 10 million, and then Series A of 20 million. You have to click out on this link to see who their Series A are. Usually they will show you here. I did that, and it comes up with Founders Fund and Pantera Capital. Then you go into DeFi Llama, and you can go under the investors list, and you'll see here that Pantera Capital, right here, they've done 54 deals. The median is around 7.25 million. So let's look at them. I think this is great. It shows you the investments by rounds. Series A, seed. So the majority of what they've done is seed, 47. Series A, they got 39. Then you've got investments by category, like whether it's DeFi, infrastructure, CeFi, gaming, they're all over the place because they've done a lot of deals. Now, Founders Fund here as well has done 30 different deals. You see that they've got their seed predominantly, then Series A, they've done B, they've done C, they've done pre-seed, and then investments by the categories. Founders Fund, to me, that is a huge investor. I don't mean in terms of capital, I mean in what they can provide. It was started by Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal, one of the first outside investors of Facebook, and I think he's also involved in Palantir Technologies. Multi-billionaire, incredibly bright individual. Every time I've seen videos of him speaking, he's someone you want to listen to. He's incredibly smart. So when you've got good founders, you've got good venture capitalists and backers. Look, the venture capitalists, they're busy. They're not running the business, but they will have board meetings. And most importantly, if they need to get in somewhere, it's very difficult sometimes to get to those decision makers of big companies. But when you have someone like a Peter Thiel, and I'm sure everyone else that works there, and they're able to put a call in and say, would you please take a call from one of our companies that we've invested in? I think you want to hear from them. It's worth a call. You're going to get the call. You're going to get in where you need to get in. That's a big deal, in my opinion, for helping to grow this company. So that was the team. That was the founders. Now let's look at things like revenue, total value locked. So again, DeFi Llama, I did a show on this, an episode on looking at their total value lock. So they just started here. January of 24, they started. Let's just look at the total value locked. Take off the market cap. So let's see, that's February. Is that showing 23? Okay, February 23 as we're moving. Then we get into 24. So it started around, well, of course, nothing. And then 26 million. You got into by 24, they had 100 million. And now where we are in June, they're at 550 million. So they went up from 100 million at the beginning of the year to 500 million. Look at that trajectory. Impressive, right? Then you look at the market cap. And this is what I find very interesting. So the market cap, of course, let's see here. It's around 1.7 billion. I believe that is based on, let's look here at coin market cap. Circulating supply, market cap, they're showing 1.6. Okay, that's based on the circulating supply times the current price. Here's the current price. There's the circulating supply. Now the max supply is 10 billion. We'll get to that. But usually when they look at the number of coins circulating times the price. That's what they're calling market cap. Fully diluted would be the 10 billion coins times the $1.20. So they're just referencing the circulating supply. But what I like here is this market cap to TVL ratio of 3.1. How is that useful? Well, you can look at or try to find competitors or someone that's in similar space. I happen to pull up Pendle. They're a 6.4 total billion locked. And if you look at their ratio, they're at a 0.15. So they have total locked 6.5 billion. Their market cap is 940 million. So their market cap is way less than their total value locked. That's interesting. Now that can be for many reasons. It may just be that the financial model works out that their margins or fees or the way they're generating revenue is much less. So at the moment, the ratio is a difficult thing to use as a metric. It's just what I would call a good to know. Obviously, as you see the total value locked going up, you also see the market cap going up. The fact that, hey, there's 10 billion coins out there, circulating supply is 1.4 billion at the moment. So what about all those other tokens? Well, what I like here is that we can go and take a look at the unlocks on DeFi Llama, and I think they probably have it on their own site. You can see the unlocks. So you can see here is today, and here are the unlocks as you move forward. It shows you the allocation currently, the private sales, community access sale, protocol development, what they're using, what the coins are allocated to, right? That's great. There's a huge protocol development is the majority of it. What's locked and unlocked? Well, unlocked is only a small portion, 10%. There's still 90%. Well, what are they going to do with that? What's interesting is here, they actually show you the upcoming events and the past events. So 150 days ago, they're showing how much was released and what it went to, community sale, ecosystem growth, and how much protocol development. What's coming up? 207 days. They have a countdown clock here. It's going to be some private sales, 300 million, but for ecosystem, it's going to be 900 million. For protocol, it's going to be 900 million. So it's almost a billion for each of these. And then private sales of 380. And they show you that that's going to happen early 2025. The next unlock doesn't come till 26, 27, 28. I like the way they staggered it, but you can see what they're for. If all of it was for private sales, not good. It's just going to people that may or may not hold it. But when you're talking about ecosystem and product development, they're putting money back into the company, and you can go through each one of them. So I think that's a good sign as well. That doesn't scare me or worry me. You want to look and see, does this look like it's going to have a huge impact or not? ONDO here, this is their chart on TradingView, came out in 24. Let's talk about the market. Treasuries. Now, doesn't mean that they're going to stop at just short-term treasuries, but the treasury market alone is $27 trillion. And I saw some stats that said 850 billion is traded on a daily basis. So is there a price prediction here? Well, it's difficult. It's just in discovery mode. And since, in my opinion, they have an operating business and they've executed on part of their plan, even when we've had some downturns and market corrections of sometimes 30, 40, 50, 70% just here recently for some coins, this one did not go down that much, if at all, I believe because they've got a valid business. This looks good for them. So they're at $1, let's just call it $1.20. And there's no real good way to determine pricing when you don't have a real chart here. We have no past anything. It wasn't around in the last run-up. If you look at the total crypto market, this is the total market at around 2-something trillion. Peaked at like 2.6. I've heard things like, total meaning Bitcoin and all altcoins. I've heard projections of 10 trillion, 15 trillion, just even in the next 12 to 18 months. And then, of course, the market of treasuries being 27 trillion. So I would say, looking at this chart, looking at the size of their market, I would say a 3 to 5x isn't out of the question if the market were to really go to 10 to 15 trillion. That could be a couple years. It might take to the next run, but I think potentially here, in the next 12 months, if we do have a nice bull run and everything, all the alts take off, 3 to 5x wouldn't be out of the question, which would put the price prediction around $3.60 to $6, I would say, in the short term. In the long term, you start tapping into that $27 trillion market, which is 27,000 billions, and they have total value locked at 500 million. So you're looking at like a $50 coin. I'm not saying that's the case or that's where it's going, but in my opinion, what I may do, even if this takes off in price, is sell some of my position and potentially hold some of my position. Even in a bull market, it's probably going to go down like anything else when there's a correction. And there are corrections. Even in bull markets, there's corrections. I meant in a bear market, if we hit one after this and it goes down. I may still hold for the long term. I think this is a great company. I'm not telling you any financial advice, entertainment only, but you drop 10,000 in. If you were to make 30 to 50,000 off of the 10,000 in the next 12 months, great investment. I like this one. I like what they're doing. I like the team. I like the founders, the team, the management team, those that have invested in it. I like what's happened so far with their price action, even during these ups and downs and sideways chop of the market. And I like their future and the fact that they were able to successfully tokenize treasuries with using that BlackRock fund. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. I know I went on and on and on, but I like to be methodical, and this is how I'm going to do. I'm going to look at those 5 points every time when we look at different coins. Please consider subscribing. Please like the video so it pushes it out. And let's make generational wealth together with crypto, because I believe this is the future. Have a great day.